Here we go.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Is that Scotch?
Yes.
No, this is rye whiskey, sir. So I'm going straight. It's been that kind of week, so I do have to put a couple rocks in it, though. I'm kind of a wimp, so I'm sorry.
No, I can't do whiskey. It's all good.
I have a White Claw over here, but I mean.
You make me feel better. I pour mine in a glass so I don't look like. Ridiculous.
Oh, I have a can koozie thing, so.
Wow.
That's where I am.
I love it. Yeah, John. I always think John's drinking moonshine because he's got it in like the mason jar and it's clear, right? Looks like you had it still up, John.
A couple of summers ago, my wife and I used to pick on like the White Claw, trend that was starting, and then we tried some at a party, and I'm like, holy shit, those are good. and now, honestly, I drink beer still here and there, but like, I usually just drink these now, pretty much. So,
yeah,
never had one. Never.
They're kind of hydrating. I mean, insofar as alcohol can be hydrating, but
right.
I don't get a hangover if I drink a couple of them, which is nice.
Yeah, and like, well, the thing is like during the day I drink regular seltzer waters too, so it gets dangerous because you could you could chug one of these and like don't feel like you're drinking.
You're not careful.
Yeah. So, anyways, good. That makes me feel better about myself. I don't have to hide it. I've told people on the show many times, so it's not like it's a true secret. But anyways, thanks for coming on tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
We appreciate it. I know you and I connected a few months back. I was trying to get you on, but this actually works out great because now you have a new book to promote and makes even more sense. So, we can start right off by talking about the new book. The Reyes Incident comes out a week from tomorrow, right? On the 30th. Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. I'm excited. It's the description on Goodreads is a bit, it's not giving any spoilers away, which is cool. I actually kind of like that, but so I don't know how much you are willing to tell about it. I know it has killer mermaids, so that's all I need to know. It sounds pretty cool.
It's basically, I learned about this local legend that it takes place in this forest. Okay, so it's not a legend. The forest itself is real. I'm painting it the wrong way. There's this abandoned radioactive military bunker. It used to be some kind of army aircraft base, and it was abandoned and it flooded. And you're not supposed to go in there. It's kind of like an open secret, though everyone knows where it is. It is radioactive, so I guess that's why people don't really go in there. As far as I know, there aren't any killer mermaids or anything, but I've been wanting to write a killer mermaid book, so I meshed the two together.
That sounds awesome.
And also, Disney would never do that.
No.
It's not Ariel. Yeah.
My original pitch, like my made up tagline for my outline and whatnot was, this is not the Little Mermaid you're looking for. So,
well,
no one didn't make it, though.
No.
Very nice for Ariel to the Ariel. That's right.
That would have been a good one, too.
Ariel is like play on words. Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, but some of the, the old stories about mermaids are not as friendly as, kids that grew up watching Disney movies remember. So,
yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, it sounds really cool to me. So I'll definitely be grabbing that. I don't know what your thoughts are. I was thinking about this the other day because I'm trying to promote my first book, and it's so frustrating that Amazon doesn't let you do pre-orders for paperbacks.
Oh my God. They used to. So my second or third book I published, they were still taking pre-orders, but it was an absolute disaster. There were orders not getting fulfilled, and people were like cursing me out through email. And I'm like, no, I'm not Amazon. It's not my fault. So I think that's why they stopped doing it. They couldn't keep up with the demand or something like that. But I think they do it for traditionally published authors.
They do. Well, that's it, right? It's for self-published or indie published, like the smaller publishers, like they just must not trust them enough or something because
It's
there's
probably
no
a
overhead.
pay to play thing somewhere, but
Well, I also
It's
feel
fine.
like they have some of their, the big five or whatever. They have their warehouse, like they already have them
yeah.
printed. It's not print on demand. So, but anyways, I say that because I was going to pre-order your book, but I want a hard copy. The only time I read digital usually is if I'm trying to read an arc for
Mhm.
somebody. So it's that, you want to get the pre-orders in because it's important, but you also want, to.
Yeah, it's tricky. Well, you could pre-order the signed paperback through my
Oh,
website if you're interested in that.
there you go. I'll
That's
do
the
that
only
then.
real workaround I've found.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll do that. I like signed books anyways, so I've gotten kind of
Perfect.
addicted to it. So,
Shameless
cool.
plug.
Yeah. No, that's good.
I
That's
also
what
get
we
more
want.
money that way because Amazon doesn't take a cut.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Well, I learned that I went to AuthorCon a couple weeks ago,
Oh my
and
god.
it was the best time I've ever had. I was in heaven. I didn't have a table because my book wasn't ready yet, but I was walking around just like networking with everyone and
Mhm.
handing arcs out to like my favorite authors and probably annoying them. But but no, it was awesome, and like getting to like have like drinks with Brian Keene like afterwards and stuff, like that's like my
Yeah.
dream, So
He's such a nice man to write such horrible things.
yeah, they all
Yeah.
were. Every single person, like Jeff Strand,
Oh yeah.
Jonathan Jans, like all those guys are just the coolest people. And when you read their books, you would never. Daniel Volpe, he was the nicest
Oh
guy in
yeah.
the world.
Everyone's so nice. That's what my
So,
fiance went with me to Scares at Care last year. And he was like, "This is my first horror convention." And I was expecting everyone to be a little creepy, but they're just really sweet. And
yeah,
I'm like, "Yeah, we write dark stuff. We're not actually terrible,
Yeah.
most of
yeah,
us."
Maybe writing is a therapy on that aspect because
Hmm.
like you get to put all your stress in one place, all the horrible things that you actually think, and instead of just throwing on people, like you do art
Yeah,
with it.
yeah, you can work it out through art rather than
Yeah.
by
right.
harassing other people with it.
Although I will say when my mom read my book already, she didn't say it to me, but like the main characters are based off me and my friends when we were kids, and I'm like, some of those stories probably hit home a bit too much with her, like just me remembering stuff, I did, and I was like thinking, as I write now, like about a marriage, basically, like my wife's gonna read and be like, what the hell are you trying to say? But yeah. Um, but so this book, I wanted to share the cover here. Let me share my screen. We're 50 plus shows in, but I still suck at this. So
It's a little clunky, to be honest with it. In your defense, I mean, it's a little hard to set up.
well, I don't need to share audio here at least. So this is from the website directly. So this covers really cool. It's and
Yeah.
again, you look at it and you're like wondering, what the hell's gonna happen here. So I think I saw it was yesterday or the day before, I saw you mention how you usually put the most budget into your cover, which
Yes.
it's huge. Who did this cover?
This one was Donnie Goodman.
Nice.
Almost all my others, I say almost all. The past two before that were Keelan Burke, and then
Yeah,
before that, my friend Mato did them.
that's awesome. Yeah, I should have. This definitely, as soon as you said that with this, that stands out. I love how these cover artists have like their own style,
Hmm.
So I knew right away looking at Mouthful of Ashes that was Keelan.
Yeah, he actually popped that one out in like, I want to say 40 minutes. I sent him, so I send really detailed briefs to my cover designers. Like I always have a vision board that I'll send them, and I'll be like, this color, this cover serves as a good inspiration, and then they go from there. And he took everything I came up with and put it together. Like I wanted the Lost Boys colors, so
Yeah.
he did. He was just like, "How's this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, this is pretty good."
Pull it up here. I love this cover. I did this. This is actually how I discovered you, and I didn't read the book yet at the time, but it made me go back and look at your other stuff, and that's when I checked out the Trick or Treater
Hmm. Which
story
is also
there.
one of his covers.
Oh, that's a Keelan cover?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Okay.
actually my first by him, and then
Okay.
I was like, okay, I have to get I have to get him for another one.
Yeah. I love his covers. I'd love to hopefully use him someday. But I'll hold. Now that you said that, I just want to show these guys because I don't know if they've seen it yet. But
Yeah, I've seen them. Yeah, I love those.
oh, you did look at him. Yeah, this cover's so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So anyways, I agree. I mean, 1,000% with you. I you know, I'm self-publishing my first book, and editing and cover, like I was like, I'll spend whatever I got to spend. I want this to look
Yes.
like it's a legit book, that someone won't skim over on Amazon. So
Yeah, it's hard with self-pub because a lot of people think the biggest thing I see is people think that just because something makes a pretty print or a pretty graphic means it makes a good book cover. That's not true. You still want it to look like other books in the genre, and you want it to, you want to look at it and know immediately what kind of book it is.
yeah. As soon as I saw this cover, I was like, what the hell is this book? This looks
Yeah.
awesome. So man, I didn't even realize this was Keelan. That's cool. So I'd say they have their styles, and I just didn't stand out to me as one of his. So that's awesome. But yeah, so I say that because the cover for the new book I really dig. I think it looks awesome. But
Thank you. I'm very happy with it.
yeah. So I wanted to talk about A Mouthful of Ashes a bit because I know part of it was, a love letter to Lost Boys, which you definitely feel that reading it. So I was hooked. But first, I did. I told you off air. I wanted to share our 50th episode intro.
Yes.
Because Tim Capello was so kind enough. He was kind enough. Well, I paid him, so he had to. But
He was kind enough to take your money.
yeah. Well, he gave us a long video, so just be prepared because I thought he was gonna give me like a 2-minute video, and I put the Livid crew in because I didn't want him to have to name us all. And take a drink every time he says Livid crew, and I guarantee you, by the time we come back, you're gonna be drunk. So. I'm just
That's not a nice way to end a career in music.
Here we go.
Oh my God.
How is the Livid crew? Oh, baby, this is Tim Capello from the Lost Boys, and wow, have I got a shout out for you.
God.
Yeah, all my guys and gals at the Livid crew. It says here, congratulations on hitting 50 episodes of the Livid Comics Lair, and cheers to a bigger and better 2022. And let's face it, 2022, 2023, and beyond, baby. Absolutely. Now, you gotta know, this congratulations on hitting your 50th episode, well, it comes from the bottom of my heart, 100%, guys. You know what? That is absolutely fantastic. But you also got to know it's coming from your boy John. That's the crazy dude that put me up to this, and I am so glad he did. You know what? Livid crew, to be the messenger, to be chosen, to be the messenger of such beautiful, beautiful feelings of congratulations and all that beautiful stuff that goes along with it. Pat yourself on the back. Absolutely, man. Take a minute to see how far you've come before you put your nose back to the grindstone. Absolutely, man. That is so, so cool. Now, it does say here that you are Lost Boys fans, at least some of you maybe. So I want to tell you that makes me feel amazing. The fact that you even like my little 13 seconds in there, man, makes me feel like $1 million. But there might be some of you out there in the Livid crew who never seen it, don't like it, but don't like me. Well, what am I going to do about that? I am, like I said, so, so grateful that I am here giving you this shout out. So when it comes to the fact that the Livid crew, all the guys and gals at the Livid crew should be over the moon happy about hitting 50 episodes of the Livid Comics Lair. When it comes to all that congratulations and fun and celebration, well, here comes the fist pump. Oh, I still believe.
He's not done.
Livid crew, John.
I'm gonna cry. Oh my God.
I know it's just gonna keep getting better and better and stronger and stronger. So this is Tim Capello signing off. And you know what? I just got one more thing to say. When it comes to celebrating the way you do it, you should be doing it right now.
Oh, get ready for it.
That is, watch those hips now. Uh-oh, look out. A little hip action. Come on, baby.
Oh no.
All right, Livid crew, you keep putting them out, baby. Absolutely. Tim Capello signing off saying, bye-bye, baby.
I legitimately almost cried.
Yeah. Oh man. I couldn't even. I was gonna surprise
Oh my
Joel with
God.
this because he wanted him on as a guest, so I was gonna wait and then play it on the show. And I'm like, I have to send this to these guys. Like I was dying. And yeah.
He just goes on for so long.
Oh, I know. It's like the grandpa that like wants to tell his one story, you know, and just won't stop, you know, once you get your attention.
That's the type of uncle you don't want in your barbecue.
Oh, I would love Tim Capello to be in a
Saxophone
barbecue.
uncle, yeah. We all have one of those.
Oh my God, yeah.
No, I definitely don't.
I am not kidding. Like when he started doing the hip thing, the first time I saw it, I freaking almost like died. Like I was like, this is the best thing I've ever paid for.
You have to take that chain off in 27 years. I mean,
No, that chain's smaller. That chain's definitely smaller than it was in the movie. I don't think he can hold that weight anymore.
I wonder if that's the same. If that's the same sax.
It might be.
Great
Yeah.
question. Yeah.
Oh man.
Now we need to have him on to ask him, John.
I'll just
doesn't have-
pop on and ask him that, and then I'll leave.
He doesn't have social media. He doesn't have. He doesn't have a Twitter. He doesn't have like he has a fan page for Facebook, but like he doesn't respond to
He's
anybody.
not on that. No. He's
Yeah,
someone's grandpa now.
Yeah.
Probably.
So I tried.
Nice that you mentioned about social media because I was a bit curious about the body of your work, Briana. One of your books stand out as being something completely different from what you publish. I didn't go into it, but it seems that you wrote a book about like is killing or slaying social media.
Oh.
How was that?
Yeah, that was I made that as like a newsletter magnet to get people to sign up for my newsletter, but it needs updating. My plan is to update it this year, but it's a free book. So it's not, I feel weird saying it's a book because it is very short, but also it's free. So
Yeah,
I don't know what people want.
Yeah, maybe it's a clickbait to get some mailing lists or something like that.
Yeah. Now I just I used to cater more toward other authors, and now I'm more focused just on readers and people who love horror. So now my newsletter magnet is a short story, and I could talk about newsletters all night, but I know that's not going to be the most exciting thing.
Well,
Can we talk
for me
about
being selfish, I might need to learn about this stuff here for myself.
Yeah, that would be useful for us.
I was going to ask Briana if her love affair for vampires stopped at Lost Boys, or if it transcends the entire genre. Like, what is that like for you?
I would say I pick and choose. The first vampire movie I ever saw was actually the original Fright Night.
Yeah,
Nice.
It was on AMC, and it was I was babysitting, and the kids were asleep, and I was just like flipping, and it came on, and I was like, oh, I've never seen this. Oh, Chris Sarandon's in this? That's weird. And then I obviously loved it, and then I watched The Lost Boys. It must have been around Halloween, because I think I watched The Lost Boys like the next day or something like that.
Nice.
And of course, fell in love with that.
Yeah.
I've loved just about every vampire iteration except Twilight.
Sure, exactly.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. I will admit I never saw the original Fright Night till after I saw the remake, so that was kind of embarrassing to admit. But
David Tennant's in the remake, right?
Yeah, Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell's in it. I like the remake.
I like
it
the
was
remake
good.
too. I liked
Yeah.
Colin Farrell as a vampire. He scared me a
Yeah,
lot.
he was good.
So
I had a little bit of motive behind my question. I'm working through Vampire Chronicles again right now, so yeah. So I was wondering if you got into that world at all.
yeah, a little bit. It's been so long. Like I probably read those books when I was like 12.
Yeah, me too. I'm revisiting them 30
Yeah.
something years later, right? So it's like, oh yeah, I remember that.
I'm curious to see if
Good.
they hold up. They probably do.
It's not bad, for what it is. I'm like, that's cool. So I wish they would. The AMC is going to put back out the series, right? But they're changing some things up. Like the actress that plays Claudia is like 25, right?
Oh.
So yeah, and things like that. I'm just like, I don't know if I get behind this. So, but I'd like to see them do justice to the actual, the movie arc and make it more true to the book. Would be sweet. To have them reboot that. It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
kind of
Oh,
thing.
I guess I haven't seen True Blood either.
I
or
was just
read
gonna
those
say.
books.
I've seen a few.
So
Just a few.
so my wife and I watched most of the show, and we were kind of hooked. I will admit this. And then it just kind of went off the rails, like at season 4 or something like it just got like so ridiculous. Like
Yeah, that's what I hear.
yeah, I hate stopping a show in the middle like that. I did it with Walking Dead too, with like 4 seasons left.
I did it with Walking Dead as well, so that's funny.
So with Walking Dead, here we do go on tangents a lot on the show.
That's fine.
I was like the first couple seasons, I was like, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. And we kept watching. And my wife was into it too. And then all of a sudden, when the tiger came along, she was like, John, I just can't do this anymore. And I'm like, yeah. Okay. So, it's fine.
Yeah, my favorite characters kept dying, and then I was just like, I don't care about anyone who's alive, so I'm done.
Yeah. They do it for the shock value, and then there's like you're just left with a bunch of B characters.
I'm not attached. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Like when the zombies became just like this, like annoyance, like they're like mosquitoes. Like there's, it's more this human element threat. Like, get out of here. I don't care about
it
that.
really did. Yeah. No, it really was. Like they basically just, like we got to go around the zombies again.
It's like relationship drama and whatnot in the later seasons.
Yeah, I didn't care about that stuff.
And
all
there's a
good.
tiger. So
And the tiger. Yeah.
yeah, which apparently is in the comics. Well, I actually never got that far in the comics, but did you read them all, Joel?
No, I'm through trade paperback 5. That's where I stopped. So, but I've
I
seen
got the first couple.
Yeah, I got all of them, but they are in PDF format. I just can't stand the light in my face when I'm reading. And it's still there. I'm curious, but I think it has to wait.
Somebody's commenting on my fresh fade here. So Briana doesn't know I had the 2-year hair growth up until this week. So
Oh, okay.
Now
You might have seen in the intro there, your hair was a little bit longer in your cartoon picture. But,
Yeah, well, was a COVID cut?
yeah,
COVID cut, yeah.
Oh, black it up.
I shaved my head bald when the pandemic first started because I'm like, no one's gonna see me for a bit. I want to see how it looks because my hair's thinning anyways, and I'm like, oh shit, okay. I'll wait till it goes a little bit more before I do that again. So,
Yeah, I shaved my fiance's head a few times, and I cut my hair to like pretty short because I just had blue hair, and then I bleached it and I dyed it back brown so it was like dead at the ends, and I was like, I'm not going outside anyway, so let's just cut it off. And then it took forever to grow back, so I'm probably not going to do that again.
when you shave your head completely, I didn't realize how long, because when I get my normal haircut, it's like after like a couple weeks or a month, like I'm like, I better get it cut again. But so I'm like not thinking anything, and it took like 3 months. Like I was like, I'm wearing a hat to bed. I
Does it
can't
get
look at myself in
itchy
the mirror.
when it starts to grow
A
out?
little bit, yeah, a little bit. I mean, it wasn't like we bicked it or anything. My wife owns a hair salon, so we
Oh,
went in and she
okay.
just like buzzed it. I mean, it was pretty much gone. So, and I hadn't done that in ever. So I just, as soon as I looked in the mirror, I'm like, I hate myself right now.
You can't go back.
I think you need a solid head tattoo, John, if you're gonna go that short.
Oh,
You need, like,
jeez.
the Bam Bam Bigelow type of look, you know? You need
No, I'm prepared. You know, I used to not have much of a beard, and when my hair started to thin a bit, I'm like, all right, let's get the hair where it can grow and
South.
just go that route. So why are we? This is what we do. Okay. Anyways,
I just can't contribute to the beard conversation. Unfortunately.
I kind of have a real question for you.
all right. Yeah, go.
Not
Sorry.
beard related.
I was just embarrassed to interrupt you, but like when I look into your list of books,
Hmm.
all the things that you have published, and I didn't see a picture or anything, and I thought that we would be talking to someone, I'd say on the 40s or something.
Yeah, I
It
get that a
seems
lot.
You work a lot.
I do.
It seems that you have started very early, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And I'm very curious to know how someone, I believe you from the 80s or maybe 90s. I don't know. I have no idea. You don't have to tell your age here. But people are not writing as much. People are not drawing as much because, like, we have, cell phones, some other distractions. And to be a writer, you have to work a lot inside yourself, inside your imagination, play
Right.
with words, so many things you got to do. And that does not involve, like being on social media or anything. And how did you start? And how did you get so passionate about your craft?
Yeah, so I feel very lucky and very privileged in that I have always known that this was what I wanted to do. Even when for as long as I can remember, I've wanted to make stories. My grandfather was a storyteller. He wasn't a writer, but he would come visit us and he would make up stories on the spot, and tell them to me and my brother. And we would always ask him for more stories. And anytime we ask him, why is this called this, or why does this place have this name, he would always have a story for us. So I developed a love for storytelling at a young age. And then I started reading pretty early, and I was reading books. I was devouring books. So I started reading above my age level, and I was just going through so many books. And my mom initially was trying to read them ahead of me so that she could make sure they were appropriate. And then one day she was just like, I can't keep up with you. Just use your judgment. I don't care. Which is how I ended up reading Cujo at like 12, which is not great, but that explains a lot about the way I am, I think. Yeah, so I got really serious about it. I've always written books, but I've never really shown them to anyone. I didn't get super serious about it until college. I switched my major from psychology to creative writing because I was in my psych classes. I was writing short stories in the margins of my notes, but I was also taking notes. And I'm like, why don't I simplify my life a little bit and streamline it and just change my major? And then I got my first short story published in a journal in college. And yeah, that was when I realized that was what I wanted to do, no matter what. I was going to make that happen. So I've only been published since 2015. Well, 2015. Wow, we're coming up on 10 years already.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah, time flies. Right?
I just felt the passage of time in a second, so that was great.
You looked at the calendar and you're like, "Holy shit!
Oh
It's
shit,
actually
I'm old." Yeah,
2022.
I do have some grays here.
Hey, I found the first grays in my beard the other day. I was like, "Oh, okay." I mean, my temples are straight up gray, but
it happens. But yeah, I did start pretty young. I'm trying to think how old I was when I debuted. I don't remember, but I'm 29 now, so
that's awesome.
That's pretty young to me.
I want to keep going. I want to put out just a shit ton of books.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend like 10 years on one book. I want to do a bunch of little ones and just diversify as much as I can.
How is your style with it? Are you pretty quick with writing, or does it take a bit to finish a draft?
Depending on the book, I'm pretty quick. I used to try to write longer to compete with traditionally published books, but it seems, especially in the horror community, people like shorter reads.
Mm-hmm.
Attention span, among other things, I think are the reasonings behind that. But it's also better for me as a writer to be able to write short, so it doesn't matter. It works well for me. I don't want to spend time writing a really long book if a short book will do, because I can save myself the stress and the time and the hassle. So I've just started writing shorter. Mouthful of Ashes is short. Rhea's Incident is short. I don't think I will write anything long again unless I'm traditionally published.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say we had
ahead.
Daniel Volpe on last week, and we were talking about how big novellas are right now. Like that's like,
Oh yeah.
and I actually said what you just, like, it's the attention span, like that. People don't want the fluff anymore. When we had Ronald Kelly on, he was like, Zebra would come to him and say, hey, you need to add 30, 40 pages, and he'd be like, okay. Like, I'll try to find something to fit throughout the book.
Yeah.
And now it's like, no, 100 to 150 pages, people love it. Like, they can just devour, especially with like good read challenges and all that stuff. It's like they just want to mark off that they finished a book, so
Yeah, and it's nice because you feel like you're flying through them.
Yeah,
and then you just want to
exactly.
keep going.
I read 3 novellas in the last week and a half, and like that would have been
Wow.
one book basically, so
Yeah, that'll take me a year.
no, I mean, it's it's easier to like push through because you say, oh man, I'm on page 50, there's only 120 pages, like I can finish this by tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that mindset, but also like for a movie, like, I mean, a novella length is really more of like a movie length story. It cuts the fluff out and it's just gets to the point. So
Yeah, I found that my shorter stuff just sells better.
yeah,
So I'm just gonna keep writing short stuff, I guess.
that's so like with Mouthful of Ashes, like the first I don't recall if it was a prologue or the chapter 1, that first, the car
It's chapter
scene.
1.
Okay. Like obviously, like you just hit the ground running. Like, and that's like when I read that at the end of that chapter, I don't want to spoil it for anyone that might read it, but like I was like, okay, that just happened. So let's see where this goes. So you guys, it was pretty cool. I mean, if you like I don't know, gore. It's not. I don't know how to say it without. I don't want to spoil anything, but
It's funny because I read the first chapter for I think 2 different podcasts. That was like my teaser that I read, and one of them it was like I could see the guys. I think it was Dead Headspace, maybe I could see them as I was reading it, and they were just like they couldn't say anything, and the other podcast I was on, the guy was like, "You look way too sweet to write stuff like this." I'm like, that's what you got to watch out for.
There you go. Yeah. Well, it hooked me right in from chapter 1. So, it was awesome, and obviously it set things off, right? So, but I definitely got the the Lost Boy vibes from it, which it was hard not to, but as someone that loves the movie, I was feeling right at home. So
Good.
Yeah. I know I keep praising your last book, but
no, that's fine.
Yeah. But yeah. So, and you, I've been following you on social media for a while, since I saw the cover for a Trick or Treater, and I thought I saw. So you just revamped some stuff on your website. So you're doing you're doing reviews now. Have you been doing reviews all along, or?
So I was a review columnist, a regular columnist for the Wicked Library.
Okay.
And then they stopped doing that. So I've kind of had it going in the background, but never really advertised it. It was just kind of the thing where people were like, "Hey, can you read my book?" And then I would let them know if I had the time. But now I'm trying to make more time for reading, and I think that reviewing will pressure me into doing that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know if you know Joseph Sale or not. He's over in the UK, but he was who edited my book, and he just had a new book come out, and he asked me to read it for a review. So obviously that jumps to the top of the pile of
Yeah.
books, you know. So yeah, that would definitely make me want to read more for sure. But and then so you write playwrights too. Have
Yeah,
you?
I have two plays. I have Unboxed, and then I have Touch, which is the one act that is being adapted into an opera.
Oh wow,
No,
I'm
really?
not adapting that. That's
wow.
why I said it so passively. It's not me adapting it. It's someone else with more talent than me with music who is doing it.
You're at least gonna see the show though, right?
Oh yeah,
that-
yeah. I'm involved. I'm doing some rewrites right now for them. They've been such a pleasure to work with, but the only real problem we've had is that I think it got optioned in 2019.
So what's
And
is it
it
a
was
3-year
supposed
window?
to be
Or?
well, so it was supposed to be produced in 2020. Obviously, that didn't happen.
Oh, yeah.
2021 also didn't happen. This year not going to happen because I don't know if any of you have read Touch, but it's basically social distancing the play. It's a world where physical touch is illegal because there was a virus.
So
Wow.
so people would basically think that it was like just, you know.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, I just don't know who would really want to see that right now.
That's terrible
Hopefully
timing.
maybe next year or the year after, but we've extended the contract by 3 years, so she has to produce it, I think, in 3 years, or the rights come back to me,
And
and then
it's,
she has to buy
you know,
them again.
the show's gonna come out and they're gonna think it was because of the pandemic, right? And it's like, no, this was written before that.
Well, it's like my debut novel, Blood and Water, from 2015, is about a pandemic.
Yeah. Oh,
So
I
I was
haven't
like,
read that yet. So
That's not really a spoiler.
no,
But
it's fine. No,
I'm just like, okay.
Not anymore.
no, geez. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I just need to stop guessing the future. I mean, if we find any killer mermaids anywhere, you'll know who to blame.
No, especially if the location actually
Yeah,
has them,
in
you know?
Georgia.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Brianna, you have chosen a genre that's not really. It's not really female dominated. That's
Yeah.
too many men doing
Yeah.
horror. I don't know. I don't have the numbers, but I don't know many authors who are female on this field.
Yeah,
And-
it's definitely
and-
changing.
Yeah.
I hope so. I was talking to a friend of mine about that, and then he said to me, not many women are doing horror, but when they do, they are the scariest
Yeah.
because they are more evolved, psychologically evolved, and they know how to scare the shit out of us because they are attentive to details. Do you think there's any truth in that?
Yeah, I think so. I think another thing for the longest time in horror, when it's been primarily men writing, a big sort of scare was sexual assault and rape. And when you take that away, like as a female horror author, I'm never going to use that in any of my books. And when you can't rely on something like that, you have to be much more creative in your horror. So, I mean, I prefer to write about monsters and killer mermaids and vampires and things like that. I'm not the biggest fan of slashers. I'll read them, but I don't enjoy writing them because there are real killers in the world.
Yeah.
And horror is kind of an escape for me, but there are some great women in horror right now. Like I'm trying to not list all my friends, but it's very hard.
It's all
Laurel
good.
Hightower,
I
Sonora
was just
Taylor.
she was the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah,
because I
Gemma
wanna read
Amore. God, I could just go on for like 30 minutes. Haley Piper.
Yeah.
Jill Giuliardi, Cena Pleo, V Castro. Oh, I'll have to stop or I'll just keep going.
Summer Cannon. Yeah, it's a huge list growing, like you said.
Oh, yeah,
It absolutely is. And so I agree. And to Rogeria's point, you're right. Like I think something about maybe like just better overall like character development or something. I don't know, but like I definitely have noticed that, as I'm reading it for sure. which is awesome. I want to read Below. I know that
Oh yeah, yeah.
that just came out, and people are
That's on
loving
my
that
list.
too. Yeah, my list. So this is when I get someone to come on the show, it's good because that pushes their book to the top every time. Like I wanted to read Mouthful of Ashes when it came out, and like I'm like, oh my god, like I have like 200 books in my list right now. So anytime we have someone coming on, I'm like, I shoot their book right up to the top. So,
You
but
read it
yeah,
fast too.
I did. Yeah, I know. These guys are like, how do you read so many books? I'm like, I don't know. I'm not a fast reader. I don't think. I don't. I don't know. I probably average.
You're not drawing comic books all night. That helps.
I'm writing though. I wrote 7,000 words this week. That's pretty good. I
That's
think.
pretty
I
good.
don't know.
It's more than I
Yeah.
wrote.
With a day job, granted, no, I'm not going to say it on the air again. I'm going to get fired from my day job.
Oh, don't say it.
They're
Don't
not
No.
watching. Don't worry.
They kind of mesh together sometimes. That's all I'll say. So
Multitasking.
yeah, there you go. Allegedly. So I have this computer here, and then behind this banner is my work computer. So I literally spin around like I'm in some freaking headquarters, and if I have time in the day, luckily the way my brain works is I can just turn around and like pick right up where I left off. I don't need to like sit down and like clear my head or anything.
Yeah.
To be honest, my head's usually in my story anyways,
Yeah.
instead of everything else, including, my wife yells at me all the time because I forget to call people or do this or that. And I'm like, I can't. I'm sitting at the dinner table and I'm just thinking of a scene that I need to like write.
Well, as long as you're not, like operating on anyone or anything, I think that I think that's okay.
No, I'm definitely not a doctor. No, I work in finance, although that's probably not much better. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard, and then you lay in bed at night, and it's like your brain is just like constantly thinking of stuff. I don't have to tell you that. I'm sure it's the same way. We talked to Alan Baxter months ago on the show, and he was saying that he would be in his office, even if he wasn't typing. His wife would walk by with the door open, and she'd just see him staring up at the ceiling. She'd be like, "You're working," and then just walk away.
I do that, yeah. Or I'll like mutter to myself, and my fiance's like, "What?" And then I have to clarify that I'm just talking to myself, and he's like, "You're not even saying any words. You're just mouthing things." It's because I'm like rehearsing scenes in my head.
Yeah, when we had Rio Yours on, and he wrote an article. He wrote an essay about how he interviews his characters. Like basically, he'll talk to them in his head and like ask them questions and like have them respond to him. And I'm like, I'm gonna try that. And he's like, I don't do it out loud, so don't be sitting there like talking to yourself. I'm like, yeah, that's.
I mean, you could if it helps your process, go for it.
Yeah.
If you do that, you can, be summoning spirits without knowing.
Yeah.
You could be, and you don't want to do that.
Oh, maybe you do. If they help, it's all right.
That's
You're
Tell a good
right,
story.
brother. It's
That's
okay. They're welcome.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I cannot use that kind of, resource because I draw. So
Yeah.
That's
Talking to yourself won't really help.
No, it wouldn't.
He probably does talk to himself. I do feel like you come across as the type that does that, but that's not an insult.
No. I actually when I'm working on the characters, it's like I reproduce the expressions I'm drawing. It's something kind of crazy. I only realized that because people started taking photographs of me and comparing with my drawings. And if the character is smiling, I am smiling. If they are angry,
I do that
I am
too.
angry.
I do that when I write. I'll just be frowning.
Oh, I'm happy I'm not the only one. God.
No, I do. But I mean, I feel like it's weirder for me because there's no visual component. I'm just like, writing a really serious scene.
That means that you are entirely there. I think you're present doing your craft, which is great.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna give myself a headache doing that one day.
That's hilarious. I just picture you when you're drawing like the like the scene with like the Wolfman like towering over the freaking cellar door, just like you sitting there like making this like angry mean face.
Yeah,
while
make
you're drawing.
faces. Yeah, it's terrible, but yeah, that's that's what happens.
Yeah.
Another
Oh,
thing
man.
I've noticed, I can't draw like anything, but when I draw like a smiley face, every single time I smile while I'm doing it.
There you go.
You never suffer from depression doing
No,
that.
Yeah.
just
you,
draw a bunch of smiley faces.
It's
Are you-
impossible. Like,
Do you
True.
listen to music while you write? Like, can you do that? Yeah.
Yeah, I make a playlist for everything I write, and I pretty much only listen to those songs because I listen to it so often that I kind of drown it out. I know some people can't do words; they can only do music with lyrics, but I can't do that because that's how I studied in college. So my brain just thinks we're cramming for a test, and I get very nervous. So I can't do that one.
So I used to mostly just listen to like rock music, like not like heavy, like
Yeah.
slower, like I listened to Chevelle a lot when
Oh,
I
yeah.
was writing. And then Ross Jeffrey was like tweeting about like horror soundtracks, and I'm like, wow, I never really thought of that. And so I downloaded the ones he recommended, and like literally like most of my book I wrote listening to Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake soundtrack, which the movie sucked, but the soundtrack's actually really good.
Yeah.
The remake, and then Doctor Sleep, and I'm sure my wife, when she like, because our iTunes is like interconnected, she's probably like, "What the like, what are you listening
What's wrong
to
with
Doctor
you?"
Sleep soundtrack for? Like, what is wrong?" Yeah, but it really does. Like, especially if you're writing like an intense scene, and like
Mhm.
one of the songs comes on where it's like a chase scene, like instrumental. It's like, holy crap! Like, I just feel like my fingers can't stop.
Yeah. I'd be worried
but
those would just make me anxious, but I haven't tried
yeah,
it.
yeah, like a jump scene, and you're like, okay, stop. No.
Just like feel like
Um,
someone's behind me.
Yeah. I can't listen to hip hop while I write. It's there's too, I don't know. It's just the words, I guess. Because you're trying to, like with the rock music, I'm listening to the beats more as I'm
Mhm.
writing.
I can't do
explain it.
metal.
Yeah. I think Brian
It's just
Keane
a lot.
writes to a lot of metal. Like,
Stephen King does too, or he used to.
that's crazy.
I don't know if he still does, but he definitely
I
used
just picture
to.
him sitting there listening to metal.
I don't know, in
Oh,
his
man.
70s, I don't know that he still does that, but
No.
who knows?
got-
Yeah, who
He's
knows?
going hard.
You never know.
He was getting roasted for like microwaving salmon or whatever this week.
Yeah, that was all over Twitter. Yeah.
I didn't even see the original tweet. I just saw people talking about Stephen King and salmon, and I was like, I can't get into this right now. I'm formatting my book. I can't even start this.
I didn't see the original tweet. I saw him tweeting about the original tweet saying, "Don't knock my recipe until you try it." And I'm like, I forgot who tweeted it out as well. Was
Oh,
like,
God.
it's something basically like, only Stephen King could tweet about salmon and be trending on Twitter. He doesn't have to
Yeah.
say anything, else. Like,
here's a
But-
brand.
Yeah,
yeah, he really
Which
which
does.
does.
doesn't involve salmon, but now it
You're
does.
right. Now it does. And so it's funny you mentioned, what got you into writing. Like I did read Cujo, but when I was older, but I was a Goosebumps kid initially, and then I read It when I was in 8th grade, and that was what.
Oh,
like,
that's a little young for that.
Yep. So I might, but here's the funny thing. Like I wrote
Bad,
about
bad
this.
parents.
No, so that's one of the things that my mom was probably when she read my book, because the kid was 15 in the book, and one of the things is, his parents didn't care that he watched all these horror movies, but they blocked MTV, which is what my parents did, and then it never made sense to me.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I
I
had
can't
that
watch.
too.
Really?
No R-rated films unless it's horror.
That's so weird.
Because I told my mom, I was like, the PG-13 ones just aren't scary.
That's so fun. I don't understand it. Like, I could watch someone's head getting cut off, but as soon as there was a sex scene, my dad would be like, "Cover your eyes." And
Yeah.
I'm like, the guy just lost his head in the last scene. Like,
Yeah, I mean, my
yeah.
dad's a minister, so maybe that was some of it.
Oh God! It seems like you're talking about my parents. It was the same here.
Yeah, my dad, well, I should say was a minister. He's still a minister. He's a sports chaplain now, though, so a little looser.
Huh,
They don't
that-
read my stuff.
Maybe
They're
they
not
should.
horror people, but I would prefer that they not read my stuff anyway,
yeah, no,
especially Mouthful of Ashes. Just don't read it. Just don't look at it. Don't
I
worry
didn't
about it.
like that. It was some other Brianna. Like,
Not me.
yeah.
yeah.
My
No pen
grandma was
name.
like, "Would I like that book?" And I'm like, "No, you would not. Don't read that book. Don't. You would not enjoy any page."
Oh man, yeah, that's
Ugh.
funny. Well, my wife was like, "Are you gonna use a pen name?" And I'm like, "No, I'm too selfish. Like, I want people to know I wrote that. Like, I don't want them to be like, who's this random fake person?"
Yeah.
Because that's, dreaming of writing your whole life. Like, you want your name on the front of a book. I think that was my mindset at least. But
Yeah,
um,
I just didn't. I was so young, I didn't think about a pen name, and then it was just too late. So I just kept going.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Sometimes I see some authors that want to do a different genre and they use a pen name, right? So you see that, like,
Yeah, I've thought about that. If I get back into fantasy, I might do that.
yeah, write a steamy romance novel or something, right? Just go under a different name.
Yeah,
that.
God, I wish I could write romance.
Right?
Romance authors make bank. They make so much money.
they're
It's
the top
incredible.
selling. Yeah, like when you look at the Amazon bestsellers, it's like holy, like even in the horror, genre, like it's romance horror, like it's like sits at the top
Yeah.
of the list most of the time. So
It's crazy. I think it's awesome. I like I said, I wish I could write it because it makes a lot of money, but I just don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like I'd be so uncomfortable sitting there writing that too. Like I'd be looking over my shoulder like a kid again, like watching
gonna-
like a
Yeah.
sex scene. Like look at my wife like, what do you write right now?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
man.
mean, without like spoiling, there is a sex scene in Mouthful of Ashes, and I was so self-conscious when I had people reading it. I was like, I'm just not going to ask people where they are. I'm not going to let anyone tell me until they finish the whole book because I don't want to think about it. And my fiance hasn't read it yet, but he's like, "You are so upset about the sex scene." I was like, "I'm not upset. I'm just
I'd
nothing
be the
else
same way as
you've
you.
read. Yeah, nothing
Yeah.
else you've read of mine is anything like this. It's very personal, I
Yeah.
guess."
Yeah, but
Yeah.
as long as it's essential to the story, it should be there definitely.
Yeah.
What annoys me is when you see you watch a movie and there's a sex scene that is like I don't have to go 5 minutes into that.
Yeah.
You know? Like oh god, and you're very conscious about oh my god, someone comes here, they would think that I'm watching porn, and
Yeah.
actually it isn't. There's a story behind it, but they spent I don't know how many hours doing that. Those 5 minutes just to embarrass me.
Yeah, it's like in horror movies. How many women walk around topless? I don't know any woman in real life that just goes outside without her shirt on.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's every single woman in a horror movie.
At least in the 80s, right? Like
In the 80s,
was-
yeah, especially.
Yeah.
You
I
couldn't
feel like
leave
they're-
the house with a bra on. You just couldn't. It was illegal in the 80s.
They would
Yeah,
take it off to walk out the door. They'd be like,
They got that from the comics. Comics was like blood and tits.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, that's what sells
was it.
tickets.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about this with comics too. Is like Kickstarter's huge for indie comic people, and if you look at the top selling Kickstarter comics,
have.
it's all sex, like just
Boobs
boobs
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, like you guys are paying this much for this, like you
It's
realize
sad.
the internet's free now, right? Like you don't have to pay $100 for.
I mean,
fake
yeah.
comic book.
Yeah, it is sad, but there's a big industry behind it, and people pay good money for it. And it's like I was invited to do something on that field, but say, God, I wouldn't be proud of it. I want to show my kids, even
Oh,
if
yeah,
it's
you
horror,
can't.
violence or anything, but I can't show those kind of things to my kids. Like I have no.
Well, that's
prejudice
it.
about
We all have young kids. The three of us, like
Yeah, I don't have kids, so maybe that's something I don't have to worry about, but
Not now.
not now. Not yet.
oh man.
Yeah,
Well-
I feel like it would be a lot harder for me to draw a sex. I mean, I can't draw anything, but for me to draw a sex scene than to write one because it's like the reader's doing most of the heavy lifting with
Yeah.
when you're reading it, and if you're just looking at something someone's drawn. There's no mistaking what that is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's
I
no
don't.
space for imagination there. Not much.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I can't even. I can't even imagine drawing that. Like I said, even when I'm reading a book that if it's not something I wrote, even if it's a book that has that scene and I'm sitting there, I'm like,
I know. I feel like
I
someone's gonna come
pull
up
it down a
behind
bit.
me, or if it's one
Yeah.
of my friends' books, I'll just be like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
man.
call them they're a sell off.
Like even I'll read Stephen King books, and I'll be like, "Oh, Stephen, what is this?"
He's kind of faded with those
bad.
scenes a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just kind of afterthoughts now. They're not when he does them. They're not like sexy. He'll just be like, they got together, and
Yeah.
then someone will get their head cut off in like the next page. So
Yeah. Actually, like his books now I feel like they're mostly like police procedural books now, like with like a hint of like supernatural. Like that's like his.
Yeah.
He's just so into that world now. I mean, I buy pretty much everything he puts out anyway.
yeah, I mean he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, it
he's
doesn't matter. It's
earned
gonna be
it.
a bestseller. It's at this point like I would love to see him get back to like a pure horror book, but I don't know if he will. I think he just likes to sprinkle it in now a bit, but
Yeah.
which is fine. I still like the books, but
Yeah, I mean, I haven't written as much as he has, obviously, or for as long, but I can kind of relate to that because when I started, I thought fantasy was going to be my main genre, but then I realized that I was consuming more horror than fantasy, and that was where my heart was. And in all of my fantasy, I was like, how can I make this scarier? And then I realized, just write horror. That's the answer.
I will say I do like fantasy that has elements of horror in it. I mean, I feel like that. I mean,
Yeah, dark fantasy is a big thing right now.
Yeah. I know you play video games too. You stream them, right?
Yes.
Do you like? I bought Elden Ring. I don't have time to play video games, so
I don't have that one, and I haven't played it. I'm not good at video games, and I've heard those are very
It's
hard
hard.
games. Yeah,
It's
like
very hard.
I haven't played Dark Souls. People keep telling me to play it, and I'm like, you don't understand. You need to watch one of my streams. I'm not good. I play on easy, and even then, people in the chat are like, no, stop.
yeah.
So it's I don't know. Maybe I'll try Elden Ring someday, but I think it's too hard.
It's hard. I'm right there with you. Like I played games my whole life, and same thing. I'll play on easy just to get used to it, and then I never get off easy.
Yeah.
And then like even like with Call of Duty, like a lot of my friends were into first person shooters, so I was playing Call of Duty and I sucked. Like I was pumped if I got 10 kills, like that's how bad I was. But yeah, with Elden Ring, I'm like, I wasn't going to get it because I knew how much time had to go into it. I bought Red Dead when that came out, and I'm like,
oh God, I love that game.
But I only got like halfway through it and I loved it. But like, I'm like, I need
It's
to play
very long.
Elden Ring's like longer, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know because I haven't, but I got like 2 hours into Elden Ring and I'm like, I suck at this game. Like I was dying every 5 minutes. And you have to basically go back to where you died to like grab the stuff you lost.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah. And everything like you're like, oh, I can defeat this dude. Nope, he kills you.
It's just so demotivating, and that's not why I play video games.
Yeah, it looks incredible, and I think that the people that are really into it, like it's like a world, So
yeah, I wish I could get into it. I just play the same like 5 games over and over and over again, and now I play the same games but in front of other people. So.
Now I understand why you have this kind of professional headset there.
Oh, the giant headphones. Yeah, I tried to find my other ones, but
it looks
these were
great.
here.
It looks
Thank
very
you.
comfy, very comfy. I will have one of those.
They
My son
only
stole
have
my gamer
2, but I
headphones.
didn't have them. I don't have them lit up for you.
All right.
Just dump my drink on my face. All right.
That'll be an extra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what games do you stream?
Oh God, it's horror. So far, I've done The Forest. That was a lot of fun. I'm still doing I'm doing the BioShock remastered trilogy. So I'm on BioShock 2. That's my all-time favorite game. I mean,
Wow, look at
Wow.
So yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
like BioShock a little bit. But yeah, I'm on BioShock 2 now, and then I think I'm gonna play Resident Evil 7 after that, and then
Nice.
probably Resident Evil 8 unless something better comes up.
I have you. I bought the PSVR when it first came out, and I actually had Resident Evil on it, and that was probably the most embarrassing thing in the world. Is like getting freaking, like my wife was filming me. I didn't know that.
You had
I-
Resident Evil 7?
was that the one on VR? I think so.
I don't know. If the one with there
The
in
Village.
Louisiana? Oh no,
Uh,
that's 8. Village is 8.
Maybe I'm wrong. I might be flipping them because I don't know. Anyways, I she was filming me because I'm like, you got to watch this. She doesn't understand horror video games. I'm like, she's
Yeah.
like, how do you get scared? It's a game. I'm like, hold the controller and play this and
Yeah.
tell me you're not freaking jumping when something comes out of the corner. But with the VR headset on, she doesn't see what I'm seeing. She sees the screen, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'm like, motherfucker. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
it
we
was-
have an Oculus, and I haven't. You can get the Forest in VR, and I've thought about doing it, but I'm like, I feel like I would just scare the shit out of myself.
oh, absolutely.
I don't think I would actually play it. And I've beaten
Ah.
that game twice. I just don't think I could do it.
Is the forest so it's the one you start off and you go into this like old house and like you're searching out your wife or fiance and you go down into the basement and
Oh, that's Resident Evil 7.
that is 7. Okay,
Yes.
that's the one I had.
Yeah, with
okay.
the Louisiana and the creepy Hicks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you have the VR headset, like you just hear stuff going behind
That
your
one,
head.
I've played that one twice, and it still jump scares me pretty bad. So I can't.
I would
Can't
never
imagine.
get that. I would never get that. My social life, which I don't have, would be 0.
So there's a scene in that game, Rogerio, where like you
God.
get strapped to a chair, right? And this was in the demo actually. You can move. You're looking around, right? So like I'm looking around, I see stuff on the floor, and you just hear these like sounds coming behind you because it's like surround sound on your head,
Oh
basically.
no.
And I'm like hearing these scratching. I'm like, what the fuck? Is that? And all of a sudden, she comes up over you on your like. I'm like, ah! Like,
Yeah, no, thank you.
My theory is that if you keep on using that and playing those kind of games, your brain will have a hard time stripping away the reality from the fantasy.
That's
So
true.
I don't even try it. You
Yeah.
know, it's like a dreaming, and
Yeah.
but you're awake.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have sleep paralysis sometimes still, so I.
Oh no.
All right.
Yeah, actually, so the trick or treater is an altered version of my little sleep paralysis demon friend that appears.
Oh,
All right.
jeez.
Yeah, I'll have sleep paralysis and I'll see a really tall, hunched figure in the corner. And I was like, oh, this is horrible. Why don't I make other people experience this?
But do you have those kind of paralysis often?
Not so much anymore. I used to. I honestly, I think it was the old anxiety medication I was on. Triggered a lot of them. When I was younger, I had night terrors, which was just really vivid nightmares. But I don't really have sleep paralysis anymore. Occasionally, I'll have a nightmare, but they're not that bad.
I don't mind nightmares. It actually gives some good fuel sometimes, but I'd be freaking freaked out if I had sleep paralysis. That I saw the thing on Netflix and I'm like, nope.
Oh my
I'm
god,
good.
that one's so scary. That's
Yeah.
scarier than a lot of horror films.
It really is.
Yeah, you can actually use those kind of paralysis just to have an OBE.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can use that. There are some techniques, and you can do that. We don't know if it's real or if something like made up by your own brain, but that can be something awesome to experience.
Yeah, my fiance, he kind of has sleep paralysis, but it sort of sounds like he's going into a really light sleep and he's just really suggestible. He says he'll like have these mini nightmares kind of where he'll see someone like with a gun bust into our bedroom and point the gun at him, and then he'll blink and they'll be gone. And I'm like, you're fine with that? And he's like, yeah, I can't do anything about it.
Heart's beating fast, and he's just like, whatever, goes back to
He's
sleep.
like, yeah, it's fine. He can also fall asleep like in 2 minutes, so I'm incredibly envious of him. It takes me 30 minutes minimum to even start to wind down to go to sleep.
Oh yeah, I usually fall asleep on the couch because I try to wait until I'm ready for sleep, and then it's too late.
Yeah.
And I wake up at like 2 in the morning. I'm like, son of a bitch. I
Yeah.
go brush my teeth. like, um, but my son just had a night terror the other. Like he has nightmares here and there. He's into horror stuff. I read Goosebumps
Yeah.
to him and stuff. And
That's what used to do it for me.
so, but he plays Minecraft, and I think this is what caused it. I don't know. I've seen him watching YouTube videos before about like end of the world scenarios, about like explosions and stuff, like
Yeah.
lava. So he was sick. He had a fever. So it was really more of a fever dream. But he like jumped, and he's like his eyes were open, and I felt like I was in a horror movie. It was freaking creepy because he screamed in his room. So I go in, and he's
Oh,
just
God.
staring off, and he's talking about he's 8, my daughter's 3, and he was telling her to get away from the lava, that it was gonna like melt her, and we were trying to like wake him up. My wife came in, and then she eventually woke him up, and he still thought it was real. He's like, no, everyone's burning. Like she needs to get away from it. And we're like,
No.
no, buddy, no,
No.
like it's not happening. There's no lava.
Oh God.
And
Eight is like prime creepy kid time.
yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
7 to 9 is when they're really creepy.
Well, even at
The can
so,
To my house, so that's what my girls are.
there you
7
go. Yeah,
I
and
mean,
you
like
live in a
that's the
freaking old
classic,
farmhouse.
like, yeah, kids waking up in the middle of the night seeing things.
So 2 quick things. I know we're coming up on time here. I don't want you guys to think less of me, but like I used to sleepwalk, and my mom. Don't tell my wife I said my. They're not. They're
Ooh.
2 different people.
Tell me, you're a bad wetter.
No, what? No, no.
Spreading rumors.
I used to, sleepwalk.
So I heard.
That's what I heard.
Oh, jeez.
No.
My mom woke up to me like standing over their bed, just like looking at them, like,
Oh my
and
God.
she was like, John, like, what did you do? Like, she jumped, and she said I just stood there like frozen in place, and she had to like basically walk me back to my bed, and I woke up the next day, didn't remember any of it. And
I
I'm
hate
like,
that.
yeah, I'm like, what? I did. And I fell out of my bunk bed once, didn't remember it, but I had a bruise on my face and like a bloody nose in the middle of the
Oh my
night. I'm like,
God.
what the
Are
hell?
you good now? Like, can you sleep?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
The worst thing that happens now, my wife said I had a dream and I was talking about pizza like in my sleep.
Boring.
Yeah,
That's not
yeah.
that exciting.
No, it's really not. But yeah. Anyways,
Yeah. Have you ever worked so much and you work the whole day? You spend extra hours writing, and then go to bed, and you have a dream, and then you're still working in a dream.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Or I'll be playing a game and I'll go to bed and then I'll dream that I've gone downstairs to pick up the game and start playing it again. And then I wake up and then I'll go downstairs and go to play the game again, and I'm not where I was in the dream. And I get very confused.
that's it.
Wasn't real.
Oh,
Yeah.
but that's fun. It's better than I draw a whole page during my sleep, and then when I
that's
woke up,
disappointing.
it wasn't there.
Is that the best page you ever drew too in your
No,
sleep?
no,
or like-
it felt like work, but I didn't produce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like I have a dream where I've won like a Stoker Award, and then like Stephen King himself is there to throw confetti at me.
That's awesome. I want that dream.
And then like Mary Shelley comes back from the dead to tell me that I'm the greatest literary. Like that's usually when I'm like, okay, this isn't real.
I'll pass.
Speaking of that, how do you feed your mind? How do you get your ideas? Do you read a lot, all the authors, or do you watch a lot of movies, or you just search into real cases and twist them?
It comes from a little bit of my ideas come from a little bit of everywhere. I watch a lot of movies. I minored in film in college, so I'm passionate about movies and lately TV shows as well. Any form of art really that I can consume, I will. I love, going to art galleries. I love video games. I love music. Just about any way there can be to fill a creative well. That's what I'm into. So it's sort of bits and pieces from things I read or things I experience, and I kind of smash them all together. Like the setting for the Reyes incident, my partner actually sent me the article about the forest that it takes place in, because he's like, this is spooky. You'll like this. And
That's
that's
awesome.
I kind of took that and I was like, oh, I want to write like an urban legend book, so let me just take this and mash it together with the mermaid idea I've had cooking.
That's it.
So,
Like so when you have the two things that you can connect, it's like magic. Yeah. That's
so
Yeah.
you mean you always see the spooky side of things.
Yeah, and it's kind of like I'll take something that I like a lot and I'll think of a way to twist it, which is really useful for pitching. So like for the Lost Boys, for Mouthful of Ashes, it's the
Yeah.
Lost Boys, but everybody's gay.
Yeah.
And then Rhea's incident is Into the Drowning Deep, but oh no, it's Evelyn Hugo, but killer mermaids, or
Yeah.
Into the Drowning Deep, but there's a cop. Just
Yeah.
random
It's
things like that.
Yeah, I mean that can honestly like if you can like just combine two things and like just make it work, like it's just the best thing in the world. Like
Yeah.
Like the book I'm writing right now, I told my best friend, he's like, what is it? I'm like, the way I can explain it is The Shining meets Ozark, and he's like, what?
That's good. Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm telling, like you'll see what I'm saying when you read it, but like that's just like,
Which season?
you know, which season? more about, yeah, well, I'm not gonna spoil it, it's not even like close to ready, but but I gotta promote my first book first, Rogerio. I can't promote my second book yet.
You got to promote the second one, or promote the first while you're writing the second.
That's it, right? Yeah, I was wondering how that would, you know, because obviously when you're a reader back in the day, I'm like, holy crap, like they just put a book out, they got this new book coming out already, and it's like, no, like they were writing this as, you know, this book was getting all the publicity, you know.
Yeah.
But I can't, like, I took like a couple of days off, but like once I finished that first book, it was like a drug almost. It's like, oh, I got to keep doing this. And I thank Joel for that, because, you know, he reached out to me about writing a comic script, which I had no freaking clue how to do. And that just gave me the itch. I'm like, all right, I'm doing the book thing. Like I'm gonna start submitting stories, and like I can't even look back now. Like I couldn't imagine not doing it.
Yeah.
So, but I know we're coming up on time. We said an hour and 15. So I definitely want to give a few minutes to pump up the book again. I don't know if you want to say anything. I could ramble on. I do that a lot. So
I feel like we've covered almost everything. I have a book coming out in a week.
A week from tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's killer mermaids, and there's a lesbian cop, and it's great.
It sounds awesome.
That's all you need. I don't know what else you need, honestly.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, like I said, if you go to Goodreads or Amazon, like the description there's no spoilers there, and it's just intriguing enough to be like, all right, what's this all about? So, and then we see the cover, it's just, you know, obviously pulls you in too. So, so go get it, pre-order it from the website, get a signed copy. That's what I'll do as soon as I'm off here.
There it is down the bottom, right? There's the
There you
link.
go. Good
Yeah.
time.
Oh, and it's people keep asking me this. I keep forgetting. It's not Amazon exclusive, so you can find it on Barnes and Noble, IndieBound, Kobo, iTunes. They sell books on iTunes, right?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Google
I only
Play
know that
Books.
because
I'm
I
an
got it
Android person,
formatted.
so I'm like, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, it's everywhere basically.
Awesome. Well, good luck with it.
Thank you.
I'm excited to read it. So,
My daughters will want to read it 'cause it's got mermaids, but they might have to wait a few
no,
years.
probably not. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. There's some. This one is kind of gross.
I'll give them a few years.
It's a little more gory than
I'll
my
get
other
the
stuff.
I'll get the 5th printing when it comes out and give it to them for that. So, there you go.
Or just get it and then like censor it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
It's
There you
fine.
go.
Oh, I do that with Goosebumps. Are you kidding me? Like when the kid's calling another kid stupid, I'm like, my kid's already a mouthy little shit. Like I need to, like they call them something different, or I just
You're like,
skip
he
over the
called him
sentence.
a dork.
Yeah. I on the fly sometimes, because my son isn't reading it with me. He's sitting next to me. He wants me to read it to him, you know. So I'm like, change that.
Creative control.
Yeah. But anyways, thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
I feel
thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Glad glad you came on, and we'll have you back on in the future when you got some new stuff coming out. And yeah, I'm gonna shut up now. So
Nice to meet you, Briana. Best
All
of
right.
luck with the book. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you. Great to meet all of you.
Yeah,
Anytime.
thank you for being here with us.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Have a great night. Take it easy.